Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. My name's Katie. I upload book related videos every single Wednesday, and I don't even know how to start this video. I guess I should say first, if you're not familiar with my channel, generally the types of books that I like to read and review are psychological thrillers, horror, although you could consider the book I'm going to review today a type of horror novel. But a few videos back, I did a video, not really hauling because I'm just borrowing them, but I did a video where I'd come upon a large, very wide variety of romance novels. Basically, a friend of a friend is a romance novelist, and she owns a really wide variety of romance novels that she's just sent. So she gave me a few and I asked you guys to vote for which one I should read. And I will admit, I was not remotely surprised which book won because I think you guys have pretty sick senses of humor. So by far, you guys requested that I read and review the 2011 classic Come for Bigfoot. Now, before I get into reviewing this, I just want to be clear, I've got nothing against erotica. There's great erotica out there. Even, for example, like the Nita Blake Vampire Hunter series, those have her having sex with like were-leopards, werewolves, and those books are a lot of fun actually. There's nothing against this type of book, it's just that this book is terrible. So now let's go ahead and get into the review. So for a quick summary, our protagonist is Porsche. She's 18 years old, which they don't point out she's 18 until about halfway through the book, so I was convinced when I was reading this that she was like 14. But anyway, she's 18 years old and she's going on a hiking trip with two of her female friends, Shelby and Leslie, and then a few of their guy friends, and then one of their hot dads. So at the start of the book, Porsche has sex with one of the guy's dads. I should point out there are going to be spoilers in this. I assume you guys don't mind. So after Porsche has sex with one of the guy's dads, pretty much immediately after that, all three girls are kidnapped by Bigfoot, whose name is actually Leonard. And then following that is an inconceivable love story between a young woman and her horny Sasquatch. Now, normally the way I structure my reviews is I go through pros and then I go through cons. Not surprisingly, I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to have random thoughts as I think of them. So first, in terms of the tone of the book, you have all these Bigfoot, big feet, what's the plural? Bigfoots? You have all of these Bigfoots kidnapping these girls. There's murder, like brain matter everywhere. There's rape, but the tone of the book is actually super chill, which you wouldn't think, but it is. So for example, on page 65, at this point, the girls have been kidnapped for a while. They're having sex with the group of Bigfoots, but at the same time, they're trying to escape. And this is how they describe the monsters. Shelley stared straight ahead. He's kind of nice to me. She was referring to Dale. And then Porsche says, yeah, Leonard's a sweetheart too, but I gotta get home. So calm. And then right after the girls are having sex with the Bigfoots, ah fuck, shouted Shelley. Fuck me, you big nasty ape. Whoop, wrong line. One line below that. The smell of marijuana filled the room. Bubba had lit up, lounging on his furs. So although the group of Bigfoot, they're rapists, they're murderers, they're also super chill and they like to smoke every now and then. And in terms of the pacing, I don't even know how to describe this. The book repeats itself. And when I say repeats itself, I don't mean it has like catchphrases, like say how 50 Shades of Grey, what was that thing she'd always repeat, my inner goddess? No, it's not that it repeats phrases, it repeats pages. Literal pages in this book are the same as the pages before it. So when one chapter ends, say these, I don't know if you guys can see, but here's like the end of a chapter. The next pages will be exactly the same. And I'm assuming maybe this is because this was possibly originally posted online, so maybe the author would like post one chapter every week or so, and she'd have the first few new paragraphs be the same as the last paragraphs published, if that makes sense, kind of as a recap so people could understand where they left off. But like, this isn't Game of Thrones, this is porn, we don't need recaps. But the thing that made me despise this book more than anything was the characters. And I know you might be saying, Katie, this is erotica. You know what, there is good erotica out there where you don't despise every single person in the book, but I despised every single person in this book. So just as an example of how stupid these girls are, on page 75, and at this point they've been kidnapped for quite a while, Porsche says to her friend Shelley, you said you had a plan. Shelley nodded. Her long brown hair was a mess around her. I have a cell phone, it was in my pocket. Porsche says, holy shit. So they've been kidnapped for a while but had a cell phone, but apparently it wasn't that big of a deal. And with the characters is such a lack of realism, and I know you might be saying this is an erotica novel with fucking Bigfoot on the cover. It's called Come for Bigfoot. It's not supposed to be realistic. I know that, but I think the author does want you to like the main character. I'm not sure, but I think so. So I would think that she would kind of want to have some semblance of how a real person, a real 18-year-old girl would react in these situations, but not even remotely remotely. So for example, on page 122, a group of guys shows up because, you know, it's on the news that these girls have been kidnapped or missing in the woods. And so these guys come up, and my first thought was, oh, maybe the author's gonna make the human men villains and try and like attack the girls, and then the Bigfoots save them. So that way she's trying to show like, oh, Bigfoot's actually a kinder person than humanity. Nope, not even remotely. So it turns out the guys are good guys, and they're just genuinely trying to save these teenage girls. But immediately from the thicket came a roar, the sound I was familiar with. Leonard and Dale burst out of the foliage, brandishing clubs, which they used on the men, slamming the wood into their skulls with sickening thuds. So it goes on to describe pretty brutally how there's brain matter everywhere, how the monsters like grab the men's ankles and then like pull them into the darkness of the woods. Again, that's page 122. Less than 10 pages later, on page 131, Portia says, I knew I was in trouble, and it was because I had done the unthinkable. I'd fallen in love with my ape. So again, I just can't tell if this book is satire or not. I think that there's a good chance it is, but at the same time, the author spends so much time, I think, trying to make you empathetic towards Bigfoot and like understand Portia's point of view for why she might like him, because he's a sweetheart. And then even at the end of the book, her parents even meet him, and they're like, well, I mean, she's 18, so she can, you know, make her own decisions. So if you guys know anything about this book, let me know. Is it satire? Is it not? I have no idea. So that was my review of, I want this to be the last time I ever have to say this phrase in my life. This was my review of Come for Bigfoot. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I have to admit, this was painful for me to read, and again, there are wonderful romance novels out there. There's good erotica out there. I'm sure this just was not it. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please go ahead and like and subscribe for more videos, and I will see you guys next Wednesday.